the coach all up is very important. One such coach, who is indeed the coach of Andrew Weckert when he won back in 1986. He's already trained 2 Bay Sheff winners, and this year he has 12 runners. His name is Keith Aiston.
Well, Keith, what are your earliest memories of the Bay Sheffield?
Oh, Tanya, well, the first memory, of course, it was when I was 16, which about 1944, and I was a raw kid, 16 going on about 11, and I ran second in the semi-final, beaten by about an inch, and the fellow that won the semi-final won the final by about 4 metres, and I cried all the way home in the tram. 3 weeks later, there was a race on at Whyalla at the time, which was actually bigger than the Bay Sheffield. But you can't beat history and heritage, so that eventually dropped out. But 3 weeks later, I went up there and I won the race up there, which sort of made up for it at the time. But sadly, never have won a Bay Sheffield, and I now deeply regret it. I would have loved to have won a Bay Sheffield because it's part of history.
Well, you've been involved in athletics for quite a long time now. The sport must be really important to you.
It's my life. The kids that I coach are like a second family. In fact, the whole league is like a family. I mean, you've got 2 separate things here. I mean, I have about 10 or 12 athletes, and they're incredibly supportive to each other. If somebody wins a race, everybody is crowding around because they know they'll have another turn later on. And the same thing applies in a broader sense within the league. I mean, you find that once again you win a race and you find out who your friends are. Most of the coaches will basically be the first ones out in the oval to pat you on the back. And this doesn't happen in too many sports. I can't say too much for the attitude of the people that are involved.
So what are some of the highlights of your involvement with athletics?
Well, you see, when I was 20, I packed up and went to Victoria, and I had a new coach over there, and I was set for the Bendigo 1000, which at the time was bigger than the SAAL Gift. There was a period of time when it was actually worth more than the SAAL Gift, and that was what a lot of runners were set for. And I ran second in that and missed out. And then the Australian titles came along, and I was invited to run in the Australian titles in '55, just before the Olympics. And even although there was an enormous division between the amateurs and the pros back in those days, we still got a bit of spillage over because the games were in Melbourne in '56, as you know. And I was very lucky because it was a golden time. And we had, I won the Australian sprint titles on points. I won 3 of those and won it on points. So I was invited to run in a World Series, which we had at Cardinia Park, Geelong, and they invited 3 ex-Olympians over for that, McKinley, LaBeach and Bobby Morrow. They'd all won medals at Helsinki, and we ran a series down there, and I was lucky enough to win one of those and came second to McKinley on points. We ran over 4 distances.
And back in SA now, you've trained a couple of Bay Sheff winners. Tell us about them.
Well, David Grubb is a champion. He's arguably in the top 4 or 5 athletes the state's ever produced. He was an absolute delight to train. So that wasn't terribly unexpected. He started from a back mark and ran as I expected him to and won it. But Andy Weckert, who won the 100th Bay Sheffield, which was, you know, great, was a bit of a surprise, even although the penny started to drop as the day started to dawn. But leading up to the race, he found about 4 metres in December, and he improved each time he stepped out. He found about a metre and a half, and I knew the day before the race he had some kind of a chance, and he won it from courage. I mean, obviously he had ability and talent as well, but he won it with an enormous amount of courage, and I'm very, very proud to have trained him.
And finally, Keith, South Australian athletics, what shape is it in, and how does the Bay Sheff fit in with all of that?
Well, the Bay Sheffield obviously is the, you know, I mean, it's the pinnacle. You know, I mean, it's. I think the winner gets about $13,500, you know, which is a lot of money in a foot race. But I'm glad you asked the question, because there's a lot of people out there, a lot of kids out there that probably think that all pro athletics is in the state of the Bay Sheffield, which of course is not right. To answer your question, we're in a very healthy state at the moment. We have a great committee. I must make mention of our secretary and general manager, Mary Carruthers, who is absolutely fabulous the way she works, and Russell Phelan, who is our secretary, and they have a great committee behind them. But we start in October, and we run handicap events from October right through until Easter. And I'd like to sort of make this a big commercial for all those, not necessarily kids. I mean, I have a lady 36 years of age that trains with me, and she wins 3 races every year. Because of the handicapping system, you do not have to be an elite athlete to run pro. We do have them, But you can be a second rater and be very successful. So I'd like, you know, we've got about 400 now, I believe, in the league. I'd like that to be 800 because it's a wonderful sport for kids to follow.
Keith Aiston, thank you very much.